on the hit show Dragon's Den. Bosse trains outfits women in the skilled trades in proper fitting workwear, and today can be found in locations across North America. In her journey, Marissa had moments of doubt and fear, but remained focused and committed to turning her dreams into reality. Coming right up on today's show. Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to be educated, inspired, and motivated to achieve your goals? Then welcome to Empowered Living in Durham Region. Marissa, welcome to Empowered Living in Durham Region. I cannot tell you how excited and happy I am to have you here to kick off our very first show.
Thank you so much, and congratulations. I'm so glad to see you on TV.
Thank you, thank you. Now, you are somebody who is truly a success story in our community, and you have been an inspiration to so many people around.
Thank you.
And okay, so we gotta start off, you gotta tell me your journey. Like, I want you to take me back to when you started Moxie's Trade and why you actually started your business in the first place.
Okay, well, I was an IBMer, so I sold data management software, and I love how technology works, how it works, not so much, but I was driving 3 and 4 hours a day into the office. So when I had my kids, I knew I wanted to do something else. And I read about a course for women in construction, and I cried. Like, it hit me in the stomach, and I realized, okay, I've got to take this course. I'm really handy, and I love building and painting. I want to take Debbie Travis out of business. I love her. And so I took this course for women in construction, and I was going to have a trades and renovation business. But on the first day of the program, we all bought men's work boots. So I took a little pivot.
Wow. So pretty much you saw a void in the marketplace, and you thought to yourself, I'm going to go and fill that void.
Absolutely. Like, there was 22 of us. We went to the local work authority, and we all bought men's work boots. And so I said to the girl that works at the store, do you have any pink work boots? And I was really just being goofy and silly. And she said, you know what? I get asked all the time. So I started to do some research, Industry Canada, and just pounding the pavement, going to the stores and seeing what were women buying. And women were buying men's work boots. Like, it didn't make any sense, women buying men's work boots to work hard all day long and support their families. So I realized there was a gap in the market.
And you just went for it.
I did, yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so the name Moxie means the ability to face fear with courage and spirit.
Yes.
Why did that resonate so much with you that you actually named your business that?
Yeah, well, the definition is what got me. Originally, when I started the business, it was a renovation company, and so I called it Tomboy Trades because people were surprised I was coming to the door to quote, painting their homes, and they said, well, who's going to do the work? So I realized, okay, it was uncomfortable for me, it was uncomfortable for my potential customer, so I called the company Tomboy Trades, but there was a conflict. There was another company out there called Tomboy Tools, and when I did this pink work boot, I received so much media that there was a conflict, and there was a bit of confusion more than anything else. So I knew I had to rebrand, and it took me about 9 or 10 months. It was not easy because I was sort of in love with Tomboy Trades.
Yeah.
But when I read the definition, I realized, you know what, that is really important to me. I want to have Moxie. I want my children to have Moxie. And that's what I do. I dare women to find their Moxie.
Wow. Now, when I actually saw the definition myself, I loved it. I got where you were coming from, and I got why you actually named your business that. And it's such a great opportunity for a product that's so focused on female in that industry. Now, okay, so there are many people who dream of opening up their own business, being an entrepreneur, and they are in an industry that they're familiar with. For you, what made you even think that you can do that? Did you even know that you can do it in the first place when you first started off?
No, and I did not know what I was doing. Even some days today, I think, I don't know what I'm doing. I always say yes, and then I figure it out later. That has been sort of one of my keys to success and survival. I say yes, figure it out. I say sorry when I, jump in and go, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But I've just gone into it, and there's always been opportunity. So I had found a company that would make me pink work boots, and then I started to present it to people and customers, and Home Depot was my very first customer, and people grabbed onto it. So I just sort of asked for help, and there was always people willing to take me to the next level or connect me with somebody to get my job accomplished.
Right on. Now, your industry is very much male-dominated, like the trades and so forth.
Yes.
And I would think, I know for me, I would be intimidated, and I know a lot of women would be intimidated going into that industry. Were you a little bit intimidated yourself?
I don't think I was that intimidated because at one point I just didn't have a choice. Women wanted our product and I had to get it to them. So it wasn't about me, it wasn't about selling a booth, it was about servicing a market that needed it. There were injuries happening in the workplace. So it wasn't about me, it was about getting that mission accomplished. But the reality is, and I've done some work with Minister Leach on the subject, but there's a lot of gender inequality right across Canada. Right from women on boards, women in leadership, and women in non-traditional roles. So there's a lot of work to be done. So you could feel that way intimidated in any field really that you're entering.
It makes a lot of sense, yeah. Do you feel some struggle still? Like, I mean, a lot of entrepreneurs, I think sometimes, no matter how long they've been in business, there's different struggles.
Yeah.
Do you still feel that way even after all this years of being in business and the success that you've had so far?
Absolutely, yeah. There's always struggles in business, even on good days. I think, oh my goodness, it's not fair that this is happening because everything's going well, and then there's still, something that you have to manage and solve. But what I have learned is that it's not the end of the world. I used to think, okay, that's it, I'm going bankrupt, I'm done. And that's not really the case. That's the case if you choose it, but there's always a business solution. I always sleep on it, I would say come up with a plan B, C. I don't know where on the alphabet I am anymore. I've given up on that. But I sleep on it, come up with a new solution, and I've tried to find coping mechanisms emotionally to deal with the situations as well.
Wow, that is such a great advice and things I think most of us need.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's one of the hardest things being a lone entrepreneur is dealing with the obstacles day after day after day and feeling lonely.
Coming up, how Marissa balances the role of wife, mother, and business owner.
I decided what I was prepared to do and sacrifice for the business.
The following program is brought to you by Rogers Anyplace TV. Enjoy exclusive content for free. Visit RogersAnyplaceTV.com.
Catch up on the day's news with Durham Now. Get the local perspective on the stories that affect our region. Durham Now, weeknights at 5 on Rogers TV.
You know the news, now get the inside story from the newsmakers. Talk Durham goes one-on-one with our elected officials and introduces you to interesting people in our community. We ask the tough questions and open up the discussion to the residents of Durham region. Have your say. Tune in Thursday at 7 p.m. to get the bottom line on all the issues affecting your community. Let's talk Durham, only on Rogers TV.
Everybody knows not to drink and drive, but some people still think it's okay to take drugs and drive. Police have the authority, the ability, and the tools to determine if drivers are impaired by legal or illegal drugs. And because drug-impaired drivers can pose just as great a risk as drunk drivers, they face the same penalties, like the loss of their driver's license, a criminal record, fines, and more. A message from the RCMP, the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and Arrive Alive, Drive Sober.
From the empty page to the top of the bestsellers list, every book is a journey. I'm Jules Carlisle. Join me each week as local authors share their stories on telling stories.
A little more practical, real-world perspective.
I did years, actually, of research.
For many years, I was the only professor in the program with journalism experience.
One of my students came up to me after a class and asked me where she could get a copy of my cookbook. Only on Rogers TV.
Marissa is happily married to husband David and mother to son Carter and her daughter Frankie. She and her husband just recently renewed their vows in June of 2015. Marissa, I have to ask you, how do you manage working your business, like really growing this business that's been so established and being a mom and wife? I mean, I know for me, I have struggled alone with my two kids. How do you balance it all?
It is absolutely the hardest thing that I've had to do in business. So business aside, doing it while having my kids, that has been the hardest thing that I've had to figure out, and I've really had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So early on, we've had live-in nannies, we've done the home daycares, We've done the, you know, the daycares in a center, and we've balanced the kids just between my husband and I, and it's the hardest thing. We've had to establish rules and really find our formula. So I know everybody has their own formula, and you've got to find it. You've got to keep working until you find it, because if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. So keep going, and once you get it, it feels so great.
That's good. So just finding what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So along with that, what do you find the most challenging in terms of balancing work and family? Like, what do you find the most that you've done that you've struggled probably the most with?
Traveling. I find traveling really the most difficult, because you're saying goodbye, and even though logically we know anything could happen while you're driving from A to B, whether flying from A to B, but there's just something emotionally when you're being separated by such distance from your family. That's hard for me. I have a necklace and it has everybody's name on it, and I always kiss it and hug it, and I say a little prayer, and I'm always grateful when we land, always.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Now, you know, what advice would you give to, like, maybe a mom who is so scared about the sacrifice? Because we hear it all the time, right? I feel like, you know, I think I always say when you have a kid, there's a mother's guilt that's already inherent in us. And so if somebody has a dream of becoming an entrepreneur, but they're thinking about the sacrifice, what advice would you give to them?
I think you have to decide what sacrifice you really want to make. So initially I didn't know. It was like a baptism of fire, and all of a sudden I was running 24 hours a day. I did sacrifice my relationship with my husband, and as well with my kids. I would leave before they woke up, and I would get home after they fell asleep, because if I walked in the door and they were awake, like, it would be hours of my time. And I realized that isn't really what I wanted for my life. That didn't last very long. I didn't let that happen. And I took advice from a lot of the successful entrepreneurs. I have to say, men have been amazing at providing me some of that advice, because they jeopardized it. And men are expected to do that. And so unfortunately, they've learned some lessons, but I'm grateful for them for sharing their stories with me. I had a friend, and his wife called him and said, you know, our son just asked me today, is daddy really dead? And you didn't tell me. So he turned around, went home, and he rewrote his rules. But he shared that story with me, and I thought, my kids will never say that.
Wow. So that actually leads me to my next question, because it's something similar that you wrote about. Can you just tell us an incident? So there's an incident you wrote about in your blog that it was a big aha moment for you that made you redefine what success meant for you.
Yeah.
So was that incident directly related to that? Can you share
No, it was
about
at two different times, actually. But early on in the business, I wasn't really working for myself. We got opportunities, we had sales, but I was really working for my partners that were in the business with me, and so I was working 24/7. I felt obligated to do so. One of my partners at the time, he said, well, I don't care about your emotions. And he said that to me after I was leaving 2 crying kids at my front door, and I was getting on a plane at Vancouver. So my bags were actually going through the conveyor belt, and I had, you know, you have to hang up while you go through security. Went through security, I called him back, and he said that to me, and I went right back home. I called my husband and I said, pick me up at the airport, we're going home. And it was at that night that I'd heard this before. The business doesn't care if you're happy, healthy, or sick, or getting married, it doesn't matter. So I realized, you're right, it doesn't. So I have to take care of myself. And so I went home that night and rewrote the rules, and I decided what I was prepared to do and sacrifice for the business.
Wow, very impressive. That's very good. I'm going to shift gears a little bit and, you know, take us into your Dragon's Den experience. So you were previously featured on Dragon's Den, and you boldly turned down $600,000. That's a lot of money. Like, I know they wanted 75% of your business, but you turned it down, and you later on got a private deal with Brett Wilson. And so did that teach you anything about yourself? Like that, I mean, moxie, the courage, but did that teach you anything about yourself by turning that down and really being able to just own that and saying, I'm not willing to give that up?
Yes, it did. I guess, you know what, I had a lot of opportunity. I had sold to Mark's Work Warehouse a week before going on the show, and they begged me to come on the show. I didn't audition like normal. That was 7 years ago too that I was on the show. But they said, can you come on and help us interview the new dragons? So that's how I ended up on the show, and they were begging me, and I said, there's no way. I have pink work boots. What if they don't like them? Like, I'm in business. I'm selling to Zellers, Walmart, Home Depot. I just pitched Mark's Work Warehouse, so I was really nervous about it. But I had opportunity, and I was really grateful. Jim Treleving got up and he said, don't take the deal. So I felt a little bit empowered because he was standing beside me, but I knew what was really happening in my business, and I wasn't willing to give up 75%.
Wow.
But I got more than that, so I got more than the 600,000.
Oh, sweet. That is sweet. Okay, even with the Dragons Den, I mean, we see so many hopefuls looking to get their chance to face a dragon, right? And even for me, sometimes I'll watch it, and sometimes they seem so unprepared when they actually get their chance. Like, what advice would you give them? Like, even before getting there, what would you tell them?
Be prepared, absolutely. I would help with the auditions, the pre-auditions before you go to the live taping, and people would be selling games without the game pieces. I mean, come prepared, come with all the pieces, come with a business plan, and pre-sell. So that's my biggest advice in business, and that's how I've always got my hands on money, is I pre-sell. Even today, if I have a new design, I'm showing my retailers it now. Between, in the fall, I'll be showing to them, and then it'll be hitting the shelves in the spring. So I can make changes and bring it to life or not bring it to life. So that's what the Dragons want to see, is that you have that gumption to pre-sell, know if there's a viable market for your opportunity or your business, and then they'll support you if you have that.
Wow. That's a great advice, and I think a lot of people who are watching this show, because again, Marissa, you're somebody that a lot of people see, and they've seen the Dragons Den experience, and they want to know what it is and what does it take to get there. So thank you for that.
It's a real business opportunity. It's just like pitching the bank.
Yeah.
You know, it's exactly the same. To treat it just the same.
Yeah. So just be prepared.
Yes.
Up next, Marissa opens up about why her work is more than just about profits.
Feels like I'm honoring women. It feels so good and self-fulfilling.
I'm Wendell Clark with a word about winning. We all know it takes a team effort in any sport and with any challenge. You can be a part of the winning team that shuts out impaired driving. Whether you're out on the town or just hanging out with friends, drink responsibly. Always have a plan for a safe ride home for yourself, your family, and your friends. You'll be helping to shut out impaired driving.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Are you sure that you have the required safety equipment for your boat? If not, you might find yourself with a fine, or worse, unprepared for an emergency. You can find what you need at csbc.ca or obtain a personalized free vessel safety check performed by a member of the Canadian Power and Sail Squadrons or the Canadian Coast Guard Auxiliary. At your invitation, an inspector will come aboard, review your safety equipment, and provide some tips on their use. They'll also verify the operation of other systems and that you have the required paperwork aboard. There's no penalty if you're not in compliance, but you will receive a list of any items that are missing or in need of replacement. Once you've resolved any outstanding issues, the inspector will return and issue you with a decal that indicates your vessel satisfies the Transport Canada requirements. For more information on obtaining a free Pleasure Craft courtesy check for your boat, visit csbc.ca.
Hey everybody, I'm Nadia Beatty. And I'm Tara Cameron, your hosts of Youth Break on Rogers TV Durham, your source for all things youth related. That's right, we ask the questions so you get the answers on everything from bullying to body image. We'll feature incredible stories from inspiring young people just like you who will challenge you to think differently. And we'll take you with us as we search for places of support within the Durham region. So get ready to be inspired, engaged, and informed only on Rogers TV.
Giving back is a big part of Marissa's personal and business model. She partners with Whitby Chamber of Commerce, Habitat Durham, and is a strong advocate for gender equality in business and the workplace.
Marissa, I have to ask you, why was it so important for you to incorporate giving back into your business model?
You know what? Number one, it just feels good. I mean, we're going to spend marketing dollars. You have to. I'm building a brand. I'm not selling a commodity. And I've done the billboards and the radio ads, and I tell you, it just feels like you're just giving your money away, and it's just going in the garbage. But I honor women through my awards. We do a lot with Habitat for Humanity. We do a lot with the Whitby Chamber. And it feels like I'm honoring women. It feels so good and self-fulfilling. So if you're going to spend marketing dollars, I mean, they're good dollars.
Yeah. So what do you like? What kind of feedback do you get from when you actually do these community outreach? And do you see a lot of your customers that wear your boots? Do they come out to support these events?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we have. I wouldn't be in business without anybody that's buying our work boots. They're all women, so I absolutely love them. But our awards, like, we'll get hundreds of women telling us how great they are and what their moxie is, and women say, I didn't know I was amazing until I started writing about myself for your contest. We have daughters writing in about their mothers. We have mothers-in-law writing about their daughters. Like, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, the reward is for me. I mean, other people feel so honored, but I'm really the one that's honored.
That's awesome. Now, I also hear you're launching an initiative. So it's like a 10-year project called Project 2025.
Yes.
What is that all about? Can you just share about that?
Yeah, sure. I called it 2025 because it's the next 10 years. So I've started it this year, and it's my own personal initiative that I'm going to dedicate a considerable amount of my time to gender equality issues within Canada. So one of the first things we're doing this year is a Got Moxie challenge. So I'm now trying to get to the youth.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that happens when young girls are between 10 and 15 years old. So we're going to be broken. What we have to learn is how to get up and not be broken and not believe them when they tell us who we are. We have to decide who we are. So women have to say, okay, I got Moxie. Those are the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
And for girls that send me a sign saying I got Moxie, then I'm going to send them a T-shirt and a certificate of authenticity. So they have to keep their Moxie-ness. That's the deal.
Wow. So these are it's featured at young women, and they're going to have to tell you about what is their Moxie and have pictures taken and actually sign it and say, this is my Moxie and I'm committed to keeping that Moxie.
Absolutely. So if we get 1,000 girls that do this between October 11th this year and October 11th, 2016, I will start a foundation where we're going to be providing bursaries and grants to women in non-traditional roles. But I need women to tell me that they have Moxie.
That is awesome. And for me, I just feel like, I also have a younger, she's only 15 months old right now, but just to see the media messaging out there for young females, this is just simply amazing. And I hope a lot of people jump on this, because this is the catalyst that's going to help empower the next generation of women to really own their Moxie, be empowered to achieve more, dream more, just like you're doing.
Yeah, I think so. You know what, I would love to add. My daughter's a cheerleader, and so I told the girls about this idea, and I took pictures of them wearing all of our gear. Well, they started doing songs. They were talking about the definition of Moxie. These girls have driven the mission. I haven't driven the mission. These girls are on fire, and so that's what I want to do. I want to protect that spirit that they have and make sure that they continue that. So in 10 years, there's no limits.
Yeah. Can you imagine just from having that now to what they can be?
I can, yeah. I totally can imagine it, yeah.
Wow. Now, Marissa, you've mentored so many budding entrepreneurs, and you've given your time to them, and considering the amount of demands on your time, like we just talked about your role as a mom, your role as a wife, your role in all this outreach, and as well as your core business, why is it so important, given all the demands that you have, that you still make time to mentor these up-and-coming entrepreneurs?
I think I could be a way better mentor. I say to everybody, just call me in crisis, because that's when you need somebody to save you and pick you up. You're hitting the panic button. But I feel for entrepreneurs. I have made so many mistakes. So if I can help one person not to make a fatal error in their personal life or in their business, then that's my role. That's my one thing that I can do for them to make them keep going the next day.
Did you have an entrepreneur when you started out?
A mentor?
Sorry, yeah, did you have a mentor when you started out?
I've had so many mentors. I don't even tell my mentors that they're mentors. I just call them for different scenarios. So whatever is happening in my business, I'll call certain people and say, what do you think we need to do about this? Yeah. And call on people whenever I need them.
Yeah. Now, when you have all your different entrepreneurs, your different mentors that you have, what do you feel that you got the most as having a mentor? Just more that support, or was there any different strategic innovations or something else that they were able to help you with that made your business grow faster?
Absolutely. I'm still in business because I've taken a lot of really good advice. So absolutely. There's different things. There's the social and the emotional, and then there's also just the hard black and white business numbers that you've got to hit. So finding the fastest routes to accomplish both goals, I can't say that one's more important than the other.
Yeah. Now, if there's one piece of advice, just one, that you would give specifically a woman, or particularly a mom who wants to become a business owner and go into entrepreneurship, what would that one piece of advice be?
I would say sit down with your family and do a family vision board. I know it sounds really crazy, but it will help guide your decisions. So today I'm always conflicted with decisions on a daily basis, and it's always for my time, which to me costs way more than money. Money can be made another day, another way. But time, once it's gone, you don't get it back. So I do my vision board with my family so we can determine our family goals together.
Wow, so you guys do a combined family vision board, not just a personal one for yourself.
That's right, yeah. Yeah, we sit around the table and we do it, and we keep massaging it every year. You know, if you accomplish goals, we put those accomplishments up on the board, and then we create new ones, and we decide what our sacrifice is as a family.
Nice. Marissa, what really sticks out for me, I've followed you for a while, and I just see there's a very authentic nature about you. You find a way to stay true to your brand, to your vision. And it's funny, I remember there was a networking event that you were in, and you shared a story about how you were visiting with one of your vendors overseas, and they were all men, and they were dressed in their black suit, and here comes Marissa in her pink pumps and everything else, and true to herself.
Yeah.
Now, how are you able to maintain that and not really conform to what somebody else has that definition of what a business person needs to be or dress like? How are you able to stay true to that?
I've had to learn it. I have to say, it's not always easy, and that's probably where I had to find my own bravery and my own moxie. You know, when I had so much media attention and I had Dragons Den, I was really embarrassed.
Really?
And absolutely. And people would make comments, and everybody knew who I was instantly, just in my little neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to react, so I tried to blend. And then I realized I wasn't really serving anybody. My business wasn't doing that well. And then my dog passed away. He was my first forever, my Charlie. But I think sometimes when you have a dark moment, you're inspired with the most creative ideas.
Yeah.
And I had this vision. I don't know why, but I wanted my pink Betsy Johnson dress, and I wanted to have a construction site. So I took my other dog, we went downtown, I bought my tutu, put on pink work boots, and my husband took photos. And when he did that, I defined who I was at that moment. And it says, I am a mom, I am a wife, I am strong, I am brilliant, and I can build stuff.
Wow.
Doesn't say stuff, but for TV, Rogers TV, we're saying stuff. And when I did that, it ended up on the front page of the Star. I had women emailing me saying, if you don't make that into a t-shirt, I am. And so I realized, you know what, being myself and living wholeheartedly, that's how I felt on the inside. The way I looked on the outside with that tutu, that's actually how I felt on the inside. When I did that, my business grew, my brand became a brand, and I knew who I was. And so that's when I realized, you know what, that was the best lesson that I learned in terms of being authentic.
Wow. So Marissa, what's next for Moxie?
I want to continue to grow the business and really work on the Got Moxie Challenge and empowering young women, and just working for that gender equality over the next 10 years. My business has never been about the work boots. That's what I sell in order to do all the other amazing things we can do. My business has always been about the women who wear them.
That is awesome. I mean, Marissa, thank you so much for being here. You have been a delight. Like, this time together has been so amazing, and I am so honored to have you here as our very first guest, and to be here and share your message with myself and the audience.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for empowering me to tell my story, and congratulations and good luck.
Thank you for tuning in. I really hope this story has been able to inspire you to dream bigger. And like Marissa's Moxie trade says, do not be afraid to face your fears and your doubts with courage and spirit. Because once you're able to do that, the impossible will start becoming possible.